In this video, I wanted to share with you a success story from one of my clients who was able to manifest a specific person the next day right after our call. And this is the exact idea and the technique that I shared with her, which got her the exact results. And I think this is a very rare technique because I haven't really heard any other manifesting teachers or even spiritual teachers talk about this technique, but it's coming from a totally energetical standpoint. And this idea can be applied in not only manifesting a specific person, but any other instances where you think you need to communicate with other people in order to manifest your goals, or just to even make your relationships better with any person in your reality. And I know it's going to be a game changer. If you're interested in learning about this, stay tuned and let's get started. Welcome back to this video. My name is Rav Sitola. I'm your manifesting coach, and if you haven't yet signed up for my free course Manifest Like Neville, which is all about Neville Goddard's techniques which you can use to step up your manifestation game, I highly recommend you try it out. Talking about this client, she's a wonderful person. Since the first time she came to me, I realized that she had this problem of jealousy, because she had a lot of beliefs about her SP being unfaithful because he went to university while she only worked, and on the university classes her SP was working with other girls on different projects, which made her feel very insecure. And in the past she had confronted to her SP for not being attentive to her, and she also told me that she was kind of like teasing her SP as if he was giving more attention to the other girl, almost to make him feel guilty. The SP was always trying to reassure her. She eventually started to believe that her SP was just not being faithful and he was having an affair with this other girl, and she also had ideas in her mind about him also being involved with a couple of other women. And her biggest problem was she was very insecure in herself, and she was constantly thinking and looking at the 3D and checking out what's happening, and she would just like go in his Instagram and try to look for what's happening. She also started looking up that other girl on the social media, and she was being very jealous about that. The SP had told her that he didn't want to see her anymore because it just felt like he was being too pressured. That's the exact word that he used. When she first came to me, I pointed out that her biggest problem was insecurity, and because of her own insecurity, she was being jealous out there, which probably couldn't be for no reason to. When I tried to acknowledge this possibility, at first she was being very resistant, and she started telling me that I don't know anything about her relationship. But eventually we started going more in the flow, and she started becoming more receptive too. Regardless of whatever was happening in the reality, I asked her to change her assumptions about the 3D. So we started writing down affirmations, and that was during our first session. She felt some sort of like difference. There was like this aha moment about her own insecurities being there since the past, and she was always jealous in every single relationship that she was ever in. She also admitted that in one of her previous relationships she had broken up with somebody because she thought he was cheating on her. She later realized that that was completely false. She just had this false assumption which she started to believe, and eventually which led to the breakup of the relationship. But even after she found that out later on, she wasn't really able to see that this could be a pattern on her where she always suspects other people of not being faithful. So she signed up for the second lesson, and when she showed up, she still wasn't feeling hopeful. So I decided to kind of explain to her law of assumption from more of an energetic standpoint. And he called her the very next day to tell her that he was wrong for not really understanding her feelings, and he started apologizing. So there is this concept that I haven't really talked about with anybody else, or haven't really shared with anybody else, but this is something that I have always applied in my life. This concept of being in harmony versus being self-reliant when you're not in communication with others comes down to having these like mental inner conversations with other people too, but it's coming out from your own perspective, happening in your own imagination. So here's my model of communication, but I'm not just talking about communication in the 3D, okay? I'm talking about also mental conversations and how you perceive them, how you perceive yourself. You can think of it more from an energetic standpoint. So here you can see both of these stick figures who are in a self-reliant mode. And by self-reliant, I mean they don't really need anything from each other, and they're very content within themselves. This is the key, because whenever you feel more secure within yourself and you go out there to talk to other people, you are able to just present yourself fully as you are without having any insecurities and doubt. So let's move on to the communication mode, where you are having conversations with this other person. And this could be in real life. This could also be happening in your mind, right? But when you look at it more from an energetic standpoint, that both of their energies are in harmony, it's like flowing back and forth, both exchanging informations, they're both exchanging emotions with each other, and everything is going on with the flow. But let's say that you actually met somebody who you really like in real life. You simply become really, really fascinated by them and you go into this reaching mode. And all of a sudden, you're almost trying to grasp for their energy because the interaction that you had was like so strong. Energetically, what this person on the left is doing is simply trying to put more importance on the other person, reminiscing or fantasizing about the person. They're almost trying to feed off the energy from this other person who's still in self-reliant mode. All of a sudden, they start feeling like really weird in vibration wise. Our insecurity just like goes up through the roof when we feel like they're not really reciprocating. And eventually what happens is it feels like they're actually fleeing away from you when you're still reaching for their energy. And whenever people are in self-reliant mode, it's almost like they're recharging their energy. And whenever somebody is trying to take off that energy source from them, what starts to happen is they feel like fleeing away from that situation. It may not be personal to you, they may not even relate that thing with you, and they start becoming more aloof. They might start ghosting you, and eventually it feels like they're completely out of the picture while still you're in the reaching mode. I think most of clients who come to get help in manifesting their SP come to me during this phase here, when they're still feeling like they're reaching out there energetically. It doesn't have to be like, texting them or trying to reach out actually physically in the 3D, but I'm talking about all this from energetical or emotional standpoint as well. So when I started explaining all this to her, actually I had to use like stick figure. I hadn't really put this out on the presentation before. She started having this another big aha moment during a second session, and I also took her through this brief guided meditation where I asked her to bring the energy back to her, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like here from the slide before, so you understand exactly what I mean here. So when two people are in a self-reliant mode and they're not even like talking to each other, they can still be in harmony as well as self-reliant mode. They're not afraid of connecting with the other person, but they're also independent of them. So this is, I think, one of the best ways of creating harmony in any form of relationships in the 3D as well. But even when you think of it from a more energetical standpoint, what's happening here, right? They're doing other things that they like. They're exploring other things that they love in life. Plus, whenever they think about their specific person, they're only having good thoughts about them. A good way to view of this energetically is looking at where your energetic cord is going out there. I first learned this from Jeffrey Allen, who is like this energy healing coach. You can find his courses on Mind Valley, and that's where I got this concept from. It's not the exact same concept. He's talking about it from a chakra standpoint, and I won't be able to take you through the meditation here like I took her during our session, because it was more catered to her needs, like her thoughts and all the other things. By the way, this is why I recommend you sign up for one-on-one coaching with me, because the meditations and the exercise that I take you through during our sessions are completely catered to your needs. It's about your beliefs and how we need to change it. And I told her to imagine as if there was this energetic cord going out there which was not connecting anywhere. So just bring that back and connect to your heart. And she did. After that, I told her to start feeling more self-reliant. And while feeling this energy, I told her to bring an image of SP in front of her, who was also being in the self-reliant mode. And from this mode, I wanted them to connect with one another in her imagination, right? And all of a sudden, she started to feel this immense sense of joy and gratitude. And I even saw some tears coming down her face, but it was more tears of joy. She was able to connect with the true version of her SP that she wanted. And she told me later, like, this is exactly how she felt whenever they first met, because the energy between them was so harmonious, but at the same time, she was also like so confident within herself at that time. She didn't have any insecurities about, other people doing whatever they wanted. Before, the SP was telling her he was feeling very pressured to see her and he didn't want to see her anymore, right? And he called her the very next day to tell her that he was wrong for not really understanding her feelings, and he started apologizing. But honestly, by this time, she had already come into this self-reliant mode. Apologies. She felt like she didn't really care about that. And after she shared this with me, we even went back to doing some revision on her past experiences where she felt like she was being cheated, but it wasn't even the truth at that time, right? But we're trying to fix her assumptions from more of an energetic standpoint, and this really helped her to a great extent. So going forward, you can definitely check in within yourself, like where your energy is moving towards. Is it always reaching out there to get something from somebody else, or can you bring it back to make it more self-reliant? And then when you reach out, it feels like you're not reaching out there for to get something from somebody. You're just reaching out there to do whatever you meant to do, which is to have this harmonious communication with the other person, or have great experiences, create great memories with the other person. So if this video was even a bit eye-opening for you, just let me know down in the comment section below, and I can talk about law of assumption from more of an energetic standpoint. And by the way, I have also opened up the calendar for one-on-one coaching sessions for 2023, and you can find the link for that down in the description box below. And with that, I want to wish you all the very best. Happy manifesting. Goodbye and namaste.